Hello, grade 10 students. Welcome to a new English class. Today we are going to discuss some points related to environmental problems and their solutions. And our lesson today is Speaking, Unit 8, Student Book pages 101 and 137. Please prepare your books and let's start our lesson. In today's lesson, we have 3 objectives. Number 1 is to recall previous knowledge about some environmental problems. 2, to identify the key information of a prompt to talk about problems and solutions. And finally, to express opinion about solutions given to solve a problem using the language function learned during the lesson. And now let's start our lesson with the following activity. What do you think are the most important environmental issues our planet is facing today? Please pause the video for a while. Think of the answer. Now let's answer together. Let's look at this picture. What do you think this problem is? That's right. This is smog, a mixture of the word smoke and fog. And as we know that smoke occurs because of gases and chemicals, and it makes it difficult to breathe. Another problem is, that's correct, it's air pollution, which comes from car emission, dust, chemicals from factories. Also, we have here this environmental problem, which is rubbish. And rubbish increases due to the increase of population all over the world, which means that people produce a lot of garbage. What does this picture refer to? That's correct. This is deforestation, and it refers to cutting the trees and destroying forests. And as we all know that forests are natural habitats for lots of animals and plants, and it really affects our ecosystem. Now let's go to another problem, which is very common in more countries, and this is, that's correct, traffic congestion, which happens when traffic comes to a complete stop or slows below its normal speed. Let's take another exercise. Think and discuss. Read each statement and decide if you agree or disagree with it. Justify your answer. Let's take number 1. I think people should depend more on recycling materials. So the question here is, do you agree or disagree with this idea? So, one of the possible answers could be, I couldn't agree more. I think recycling should start from home and continue at school. Notice something here that we use this expression, I couldn't agree more, to express agreement. Now please pause the video for a while. Read the sentences number 2 and 3 again. Try to write down whether you agree or disagree with them. Don't forget to justify your answer. Now, let's see some of the possible answers. Number 2, saving and recycling papers help animals live in their habitats. So we can say, that's a good thought, as trees are being cut down to make the paper. By recycling paper, we save the forests where animals live. Notice here that we have used that's a good thought also to show agreement. How about sentence 3? Government should allow people to cut trees because they are useful in some industries. Do you agree or disagree with it? One of the possible answers could be, I don't think it is a good idea. I think cutting trees destroys natural habitats, which has negative effects on our ecosystem. And notice here we have used I don't think it's a good idea to show disagreement. Our next exercise is Student Book page 101, exercise B. Let's read this prompt. Try to highlight the keywords in it. Please pause the video for a while. Read and highlight the keywords. And now let's find out together. talking groups, look at the headlines, discuss the problems, and say what you think has to, should, can be done. Use some of the words, phrases in the boxes. Now let's find out the keywords. Discuss the problems and say what you think has to, should, or can be done. It means that you're going to find out solutions for these problems. Remember to use words and phrases in the boxes here in your student book, page 137. So here you have some headlines from newspapers that talk about some of the environmental issues, like paper factory pollutes river, oil spill spreads and hits coast, some problems about rubbish, fossil fuels, and some other problems. Here you have government action, some words and phrases that help you find out what governments should do. Also, we have environmental awareness. What's the role of the people in each country? These phrases help you find solutions. And finally, here we have stating accepted facts. When we talk about accepted facts, what are the expressions we should use? And now let's talk about the actions that should be taken by the governments all over the world to save the planet. For example, to ban cars, to promote electric cars, those cars that depend more on electricity, take stricter measures, move factories away or even close down factories, pass laws, build more recycling plants, plant more trees, protect existing forests, and finally to reduce carbon footprint. And as you know, that carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse gases that are generated by our actions. Now, can you think of more actions that should be taken by governments? And now let's answer the following question. What do you think a government has to do? Please pause the video for a while. Think of the answer. Remember to use some of these phrases. Now let's see together one of the possible answers. You can say, I think that governments should definitely reconsider their environmental policies and pass stricter laws. In my opinion, factories are largely responsible for smog and river pollution. Factories should be made to move away from cities. If they continue to pollute the environment, either by pumping their waste into rivers or by releasing dangerous chemical substances into the air, they should be made to pay heavy fines or even closed down. Let's see together here some of the expressions that we have used, such as I think that, governments should definitely reconsider their environmental policies and pass stricter laws. Also, we have used, in my opinion. Factories should be made to move away from cities. Also, they should be made to pay heavy fines or even close down. Now let's find out some of the environmental awareness. For example, use cars less. So people can depend more on using public transportation instead of using cars. They also can use bicycles. Also, we have carpool. And carpool here means that a group of people who travel together, maybe to work or to school, usually in a different member's car each day. So they all use one car each day. We have alternative transport, pay fines, cleanup, environmental organizations, education programs, reuse and recycle, plant more trees, save energy, and finally, to use alternative energy sources, means to depend more on renewable energy, such as the sun, the wind, for example. Another point here is to state accepted facts. And as you know that we have some expressions that we can use to state accepted facts, such as everyone knows that, it is a fact that, it's a common knowledge that. Now I want you to pause the video for a while. Try to write down some accepted facts using these expressions. Let's find out together. For example, when you say, it is a fact that protecting the environment also improves human health. Also, you can say, everyone knows that natural resources are best protected when local people play an active role in their care and management. Another example is to use, it is common knowledge that oil spills are a threat to marine life. Now let's find out more examples about stating accepted facts. Let's look at this picture. What do you think the problem is here? That's correct. It's a smog. So pause the video for a while. Try to write down some accepted facts about smog. Let's find out together. We can say it's a fact that the smog is a problem many cities are facing nowadays. And notice here, we used it's a fact that. Let's continue. Air pollution is a serious health hazard to the local population. That's why something has to be done, not only by the government, but also by the people. So to ask about people's opinion, we have used here, what do you think? The other persons could say, I couldn't agree more. This is to show agreement. So, let's find out an agreement opinion. I think we definitely need to take some stricter measures. And here, we have used take some stricter measures. Everyone knows that if we want to reduce smog in cities, we need to change the way we think and our attitude towards public transport. So, to state a fact here, we also have used everyone knows that. Let's take another exercise to express your opinion. Here we have two solutions that might help us save the environment. Please look at the pictures. What do you think these solutions are? That's right, they are carpooling and electric cars. Now please, pause the video for a while, express your opinion about these two solutions, and explain how would they help us save the environment. Now let's find out some of the possible answers. How about carpooling? I think more and more people are carpooling these days in order to reduce the cost of commuting to work every day and act in a more environmentally friendly way. However, if we really want to introduce some drastic measures, I think cars should be banned from all city centers and the drivers should be made to pay extra if they want to drive around the city center. In this way, a great number of drivers will be discouraged from using their cars in the city center. Notice here that we have used how about carpooling. So, we also have used I think cars should be banned from all city centers and drivers should be made to pay extra if they want to drive around the city. So also, we can use that's a good thought. And what about electric cars? They are still not very popular. I think that governments should promote electric cars because they are environmentally friendly and less costly. Here are some of the expressions. That's a good thought to show agreement. Then to suggest another idea, you can say, and what about? What about electric cars? Then you can explain your opinion here by saying, I think that For example, governments should promote electric cars. And now let's read the following headlines and express our opinion. Let's look at these two pictures. What do they refer to? What's this environmental problem? That's correct, it's oil spill. So the headline here says oil spill spreads and hits coast. Also here, this is rubbish. We produce too much rubbish. Now please pause the video for a while. Express your opinion about these two problems and mention some of the solutions. Let's find out some of the expected answers. A speaker might say, now what about this headline? Oil spill spreads and hits coast. It is common knowledge that, notice here that we have used it's common knowledge that oil spills are a threat to marine life. I think when an accident like that happens, oil companies should be heavily fined and have the responsibility for cleaning up the oil spill. As for producing too much rubbish, we might say, to me, another serious environmental problem is that as the number of people on this planet is increasing, so is the amount of their rubbish. I think recycling is something that we should all do, no matter how tired we are or how far the recycling bins are. There is no excuse for not recycling these days. We should also get used to reusing things and not just to throw them away without thinking first if we can reuse them or use them in an alternative way. So notice here we have used I think to express your opinion. I think recycling is something that we should all do. Finally, look at the following headline, discuss the problem and think what has to be done. Here are some useful phrases that you can use. Global warming, alternative energy resource, save energy, carbon footprint, and finally plant trees.